Prometheus, directed by Ridley Scott and released in 2012, is a science fiction film that serves both as a prequel to the famous Alien franchise and as an exploration of profound themes related to creation, the search for truth, and humanity itself. The film follows a team of explorers, led by archaeologists Elizabeth Shaw, played by Noomi Rapace, and Charlie Holloway, Logan Marshall Green, who embark on a quest to uncover the origins of humanity after discovering a mysterious star map. Their journey takes them to a planet called LV-223, where they uncover remnants of an ancient civilization, the Engineers, who seem to have played a crucial role in the creation of life on Earth. However, what begins as a quest for knowledge quickly turns into a fight for survival against dark forces and terrifying creatures. With stunning visuals, meticulous art direction, and an immersive soundtrack, Prometheus offers a reflection on the nature of creation and the consequences of our curiosity. The film raises existential questions about the origins of humanity, science, and spirituality, while establishing connections to the alien universe. Get ready to dive into a captivating journey where humanity faces its own demons and truths that could challenge everything we know about our origins. If you want to understand the Alien series of movies, you must first understand Prometheus. As the prequel to the Alien series, not only does it unravel the origin of the alien pandemic, but it also reveals the story of human origins. This adds a more intricate and complex layer to the already mysterious plot of the Alien series. It also includes hidden details and Easter eggs that are hard to spot. A long time ago, when Earth was still a barren wasteland, a spaceship suddenly descended onto the planet. A giant stepped down from the ship. Inside the container was a mass of thick, black liquid. The giant furrowed his brow and consumed it in one gulp. As he watched the spaceship gradually depart, his body began undergoing genetic mutations. Amidst the giant's agonized roars, the black liquid spread throughout his body. His body started to break apart, and finally, the giant fell into a waterfall. It was at this moment that the giant's true mission officially began. As his body continued to turn into black smoke, his DNA began to dissolve. With his cells disintegrating and reorganizing, the story of humanity's origin began. Time fast-forwards to the year 2089, where scientists discover a mural. In this mural, everyone is kneeling in worship before a giant. The giant is pointing towards an unknown planet. The scientists speculate that this could be the secret to humanity's origin, guiding them to search for it. In the year 2093, the spaceship Prometheus, carrying 17 humans, officially set off on its journey. To ensure the safety of the crew, before reaching their destination, all the humans entered stasis pods, leaving behind only an android named David. To better communicate and interact harmoniously with humans, David constantly observed and studied human behavior during the stasis period. Later, Shaw and Charlie introduced their findings to the crew. They explained that while humans were exploring various places around the world, they discovered 7 ancient star maps. What was truly astonishing was that all these star maps pointed to the same planet, V233. Soon, the crew successfully piloted the Prometheus to land on the planet. They discovered that the planet's structure was very similar to Earth's. As they passed through the atmosphere, they noticed that there were no signs of human life. Charlie quickly spotted a mysterious fortress. The design of this fortress initially appeared to have been intended to resemble a pyramid. Later, they felt that making it resemble human ruins would be too similar, so the creator's fortress was designed in a shape more like a bun. The crew believed this was their destination. The ship successfully landed next to the fortress, and the team quickly suited up and prepared to head out. With the exploration vehicle moving forward, the secrets of the creators were gradually unveiled. The crew entered the fortress, and a geologist released a probe. Soon, the infrared beams emitted by the probe mapped out the entire fortress aboard the ship. The long corridors, shrouded in darkness, revealed that the oxygen levels were higher and the air was even cleaner than on Earth. The crew was ecstatic, believing that the environment here had definitely been terraformed. Excited, they all removed their helmets and continued their exploration. To their amazement, they noticed various markings beneath their feet. After some fluctuations, a holographic projection appeared in the corridor. It showed several giant beings, resembling humans, running forward, seemingly fleeing from something. Moments later, one of them was tragically crushed to death by a falling stone door. The crew hurriedly rushed over to investigate. The skeleton of that giant remained here. After testing, it was found that the giant had been dead for 2,000 years. The horror escalated once again, and the geologist was terrified. Despite everyone's pleas to return to the ship, he was not satisfied and urged one of his companions to go back with him. Meanwhile, David climbed to a higher vantage point. The inscriptions on the wall revealed the code to open the stone door, which slowly creaked open. Inside the door was something very strange, a giant head sculpture underneath which were numerous black jars. Above the head, there was a beautiful mural, and in a place that went unnoticed, David discovered something on top of the black jars. A group of wriggling creatures emerged from the jars, with black liquid continuously bubbling out. David speculated that this could be some kind of organic life form. He wondered if their presence had altered the atmospheric pressure in the area, causing the murals on the walls to change as well. At that moment, a massive storm was approaching, threatening to unleash chaos. The communication system urged them to return to the pod as quickly as possible upon witnessing the horrifying scene. David tightly wrapped the giant's head and noticed that the structure wasn't actually their skeleton. With David's assistance, they managed to remove this mysterious outer shell beneath it. They couldn't believe their eyes. The face was identical to that of a human. It was exactly what they had been searching for, the engineers. David was extremely excited. Upon closer inspection, it appeared that new cells on the head were undergoing mutations. Shaw immediately instructed her assistant to prepare to awaken the giant's brain, as the assistant inserted a device into the giant's head. As the bioelectric current increased, the head was slowly being awakened, and it even showed signs of opening its eyes. Blood began to flow from the head. In this situation, the assistant tried to turn off the current but was unable to control it. The engineer died once again. However, Shaw discovered that his DNA was identical to that of humans, revealing that they were indeed humanity's creators. Meanwhile, David was alone in another room, conducting research on the jars he had brought back. He opened one of the jars and picked up the container filled with a mysterious black liquid inside. David took a drop of the black liquid and placed it on his fingertip. At that moment, we could see the logo of the Wayland Corporation on the patterns of his fingertip. David was unsure of the effects of this black liquid, so he sought out Charlie to discuss the idea of practicing to uncover the truth. David asked him about the search for the origins of humanity. David asked how much sacrifice was necessary for anything to be achieved. Upon receiving the answer, he felt relieved. When David poured a glass of wine for Charlie and handed it to him, he secretly dropped some of the black liquid into the drink. Unaware, Charlie downed it in one gulp. Later, slightly intoxicated, Charlie approached Shaw and excitedly informed her about the DNA discovery. She was very happy that they had finally made some progress on this matter. As they continued drinking, the two played poker, though the scene was deemed inappropriate for minors, so we'll skip over that. Meanwhile, on the other side, the crew was still searching for a safe spot within the fortress. After a long while, they surprisingly found themselves in the room where the black jars were stored. However, unlike before, there was something in the black liquid on the ground that seemed to be wriggling around. In an instant, a snake-like creature emerged from the black liquid. This was likely a mutation of the worms that had been in the black water. Remembering how timid one of the team members had been before, they suddenly felt empowered. He reached out to grab it, but to his surprise, the creature coiled around their arm first, its strength so great that it brutally crushed his arm. Accompanied by a sharp pain, he immediately used a dagger to sever the white creature. To his surprise, the liquid sprayed by the creature contained strong corrosive properties, which began to eat through his companion's protective suit. The next day, when Charlie was getting ready to take a look, the ship's intercom unexpectedly sounded. The crew planned to re-enter the fortress to rescue the biologists. They quickly set out in their vehicle. Just as they were about to arrive, David suddenly stopped. After a few people successfully entered the fortress, they had already come in from another location. Vickers, who was observing from inside the ship, learned about this action and immediately instructed David to project his video signal to him. David located the infrared probe he had previously deployed. As he reached the end, he discovered a large door and skillfully opened it. Upon entering, he found several engineer bodies standing side by side on both sides, resembling guards. David continued to delve deeper, but halfway through, he cut off the video signal. Meanwhile, the main team found the biologists inside the fortress. They were lying on the ground, showing no signs of life. From one of their mouths, white smoke was still rising. Meanwhile, Charlie's body began to show unusual symptoms. His eyes were bloodshot, and he felt weak and powerless. Upon seeing this, the crew immediately prepared to transfer him back to the ship for treatment. At the same time, David entered a room and accidentally pressed a button on the side, activating a holographic projection inside the room. It revealed a spaceship. Previously, the giant had intended to use this ship to transport the black liquid to Earth, aiming for destruction. However, due to various reasons, this plan was thwarted. He learned why the spaceship had not taken off and remained here. As the holographic projection concluded, David discovered an engineer who was still alive among the images. Just as the crew saw Vickers firmly opposing Charlie's return to the ship, Charlie was also very aware of his own condition. He took the initiative to approach Vickers. With his condition deteriorating, David grasped his neck and realized he was already pregnant. At that moment, both of them decided to forcibly remove the child from his abdomen using this machine. As expected, what Shaw extracted was an alien embryo. A furious Shaw, along with the captain, immediately dispatched someone to investigate. Meanwhile, Field was sitting on the ground in a very unusual position. As David was checking on him, Field suddenly stood up. The newly returned Field was extremely enraged, killing several crew members one after another. His combat prowess was immense, and gunfire had no effect on him. At this point, it was evident that Field's head had partially taken on a form resembling the alien infection due to the influence of the black liquid. Field, as if he had some kind of resurrection armor, continued to get hit yet still managed to brutally slaughter the crew. In the end, the crew members, along with the captain, collaborated to run over Field with the vehicle. They immediately took up their firearms and burned Field to ashes. Meanwhile, Shaw was running forward, trying to find rescue, but she accidentally stumbled upon the wealthy investor, Peter, who had financed this mission. He had been in stasis aboard the ship, waiting for news of their discovery of the engineers. He believed that since the creators had made humans, they would also be able to save humanity. They hoped to seek immortality from the engineers, so they decided to ask the engineer that David had previously discovered. Shaw wanted to fulfill her boyfriend's dying wish and resolved to go with them. At this point, the captain entered Shaw's room and realized that this planet was not the home of the engineers. It was merely a military research base for them. No one would conduct experiments right in their own backyard. The engineers were researching the black liquid when they realized that the creatures inside had managed to escape and retaliate. Both sides ended up destroying each other. What they needed to do now was return to Earth. Just as the captain was about to leave, Shaw informed him that there was still one engineer alive. If they could find him, they would learn everything about the origins of humanity. The team immediately set out to the location of the engineer within the fortress. David used the method he had seen in the previous holographic projection to access the control room and successfully awakened the last living engineer. This engineer not only bore a striking resemblance to humans, but was also inside a stasis pod. As Shaw questioned the approaching engineer about why they created humanity and sought to destroy it, her tone grew increasingly agitated. The engineer did not respond to them. However, after hearing David reveal their purpose for coming here, he suddenly twisted David's head off. A portion of the story was indeed omitted here, which has led many to question why the engineer suddenly became enraged. In the deleted scenes, David had exchanged a few words with the engineer, informing him that humanity had become similar to the creators by producing synthetic beings, with David himself being an example. He argued that if David could achieve immortality, then what was preventing the engineers from coexisting with humanity? The engineer became furious upon hearing David's remarks about creating a new generation of gods who could attain immortality. This was what triggered the engineer's sudden rage, leading him to eliminate the remaining crew members. Shaw, who had turned to flee, narrowly escaped the massacre. Meanwhile, a crucial development occurred as a heavy cockpit appeared, indicating that the ship was about to launch to complete what they had not finished before. Seeing the fortress in such a state, Shaw immediately informed the captain. After hearing her, the captain realized that the Prometheus was soaring high and rushing toward its destination at full speed. The Prometheus was destroyed on the spot, and the U-shaped ship was also blown up, crashing to the ground. Due to the unstable shape of the U-shaped ship, it kept rolling forward uncontrollably. Vickers was unfortunately knocked down and crushed to death. Shaw managed to escape by slipping through the gap between the rocks and the wreckage of the ship. After surviving this ordeal, she returned to the escape pod. While seeking supplies, She was shocked to find that the alien embryo inside her had transformed into a massive creature. At that moment, David's voice suddenly echoed in her ear. As a synthetic being, David could survive with just his head. He urged Shaw to escape quickly because the engineer was coming for her. Just as the sound faded, the engineer immediately charged in. In a panic, she quickly opened the hatch, and the creature in front of her stood there, ready to attack. Upon seeing this, she immediately fled. The creature had transformed into something resembling an octopus, and thus the epic scene reminiscent of the movie Ancient Giants vs. the Octopus unfolded. It was clear that the giant was no match for it. After successfully escaping once again, Shaw heard David's voice in her ear. He informed her that there were many ships belonging to the creators on this planet, and that he could pilot one of them to help her escape. However, after meeting with David, Shaw expressed that she didn't want to return to Earth. Instead, she wanted to find the planet where the creators existed in order to unravel all the questions that plagued her. He doesn't know. This concludes this episode. What will be the continuation of the pandemic story? We look forward to the explanation of the covenant of the pandemic. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching until the end. If there's anything you'd like to see, feel free to mention it in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching this video on Prometheus. Your support is appreciated. If you have any thoughts or questions, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Stay curious, and I can't wait to see you next time for more explorations of Prometheus and beyond. See you soon.